Okay, hello, hello, hello. My new vortex machine. Look at that, it's a vortex machine. Vortex machine. That's a vortex machine. It cost me like nothing. It's a vortex machine. It's a vortex machine. Wow, see, she got a vortex machine. It's called Shake the Bottle. Shake the bottle. Okay. It's called Shake the Bottle. Shake the bottle. Shake the bottle. Okay, so Brother Zish today is going to talk to you. I'm not an expert, okay? I'm just a dad. But when I see these memes like nicotine destroys nanotech, or charcoal, activated charcoal does this, or fulvic mineral does this, then what we have to do, this is what I do. You don't have to do me. Like if Cliff High comes on today and says, this is the funny thing, people make their decisions based on Facebook posts. What Dr. Jack Cruz said. Dr. Jack Cruz says, take methylene blue, or, you know, Joe Rogan, you know, sits down with Mel Gibson and everyone loses their minds and starts doing ivermectin, or David Wolf says ivermectin and everyone starts taking ivermectin. They take it as gospel. And I don't take like anything as gospel from these people. Like ivermectin is a complete, like, if you don't know why I don't resonate with ivermectin, it's really simple. So this is an old family physician book. This is an old family physician book. Old is really the wrong word. I picked this up for like a couple of quid. It's a beautiful book. It comes in a whole series. And what I do, when someone says to me, I need methylene blue and I want to turn myself into a Smurf or Shiva, I go, really? Now, methylene blue, in its rawest form, is meth. I've never really been into meth. So if you're into meth, you might be a bit of a speed freak, hung out with the Hells Angels. You like speed, so you might be like, you might need your methylene blue. Don't get me wrong, you know, one man's medicine's another man's poison, but methylene blue ain't my medicine. And also then, like most people, they're not putting two and two together with the Internet of Everything, the Internet of Things, and the geoengineering coming down from the sky that everybody has within them, because most people are distracted with the idea that we're going to be having a Neuralink put into our bodies. What if you've got the Neuralink works already inside your body from the geoengineering that is happening above you right now? Now, a lot of people aren't thinking about that. So what I do, if someone says to me, I need charcoal, or I need activated charcoal, I'll go into here. I'll go and look in this and say, okay, why do people think they need charcoal? Why? You know, like, why do you think you need a parasite formula? You know, why do you think you're a Lyme's disease? And there's some really good books, like The Contagion Myth's a great book. It's a really, really good book. It's really good to, you know, rather than like taking your health advice from a meme, they're memes. If someone says nicotine destroys nanotech, and then you just take action based on that meme, like a doctor was taking his advice on corona, well, I've kind of made it really clear that I don't even think doctors exist anymore. I think it's just an illusion. I think it's an illusion. So in here, they've got charcoal. In the Materia Medica, they have charcoal. But they don't have anything called activated charcoal. But you've got to remember, when this book was created, there was no geoengineering as we know it today. They were playing with ELF waves, and nano was coming out in the 18th century with the microscope. But but at this time, this is good for human biology, pathology. But now we have to factor in The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. You have to factor that in, the silent weapons and quiet wars. You know, take with a pinch of salt Sabrina Witchy Wallace. You got to take with a pinch of salt Sabrina Witchy Wallace, or your David Wolfs, the wolves in sheep's clothing. You have to take them with a pinch of salt. I think they give some truth, but then you have to kind of like, you have to go it alone. You know, are you going to see a doctor? Are you going to see a vet? Why are you going to see somebody? Why aren't you empowered to make your own decisions? And so why do you go to school? Why did you go to college? Why did you feel a need to go somewhere? When, you know, you don't see the Mongolian man on his horse with his eagle thinking he needs to go anywhere other than feed his family. That's what he's thinking about. So like we've got into this like very materialistic, sensational, I need the next bells and whistles. Sign me up for ivermectin. I'm a truther. Woohoo! Let's go. I'm a truther. Like, what is a truther? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm a non-truther. Yeah, because we're in how can you be a truther when we're in a post-truth world? We're in a post-truth world. So how can you be a truther in a post-truth world? It's just ridiculous. You know, I am ascending to 5D. I'm by the way, I'm looking at charcoal, carbon or charcoal. Carbon. Here we go. We found it. We found carbon or charcoal. By the way, my other name is Victor Meldrew. If you haven't worked that out by now. My other name is Victor Meldrew. A lot of Americans might not get my humour. So carbon or charcoal can be made either from wood or from bones. I've got a really simple way of looking at charcoal. Like how I look at homeopathy, how I look at ivermectin, how I look at these I didn't mention this last night. If you're putting in a parts per million of anything, be it a nanoscale, see the thing with the nano, the way they're tricking you is you can't see it. So if you can't see it, believing is seeing or seeing is believing. You can't see it, so you don't know. You don't know because you can't see it. So it's like the ultimate, like supreme. I got to take my hat off to them, actually. It's pretty impeccable. They're not stupid, these guys. These folks are not stupid. They're duping you with nanoparticles that you can't see, and then they're using experts, because you believed a doctor was real, now you believe an alternative doctor is real, and then you've listened to what the doctor says, now you've woken up, and then you listen to what the alternative doctor says. I'm just a dad, 22 years, working shit out. So I'm just like, well, what do I know about activated charcoal? I know what activated charcoal is when I'm burning incense, but I don't feel a need or a desire to ingest activated charcoal, diatomaceous earth. Like I'll have people come on and go, I've healed people with diatomaceous earth. And you're like, really? Like, how did you do that? Which diatomaceous earth is a silica. So before we put charcoal into our bodies, don't we want to first ask ourselves why or what need is there to put charcoal into our bodies? What need? Like, I get it if a child is going into a fire and eating some charcoal. I get that. I get it. You know, kids do that, don't they? They roll around in their poo and their wee, and they roll around on the dirt and all that kind of stuff. I get it. For me, charcoal's really simple. Have a homeopathic dose when the sun comes out. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, does it, to do a cleanse in the middle of winter? It makes sense, but most people do a cleanse on New Year's Eve because they've been psyoped into believing that it's a new year, and then they go and make a New Year's resolution that they fail at doing, unless they're like Jocko Willenick, and he's just brainwashed into being a military psyop anyway. So that's ingrained into him to be taking orders. So that's why someone like that can do that, because they've been militarized. They've been totally militarized on the opposite end of the spectrum. So whatever they do, in a sense of extreme ownership, they will get it done. It doesn't matter when they do it. It doesn't even matter if they do it in New Year's Eve. But the idea of New Year's Eve doesn't make any sense. Well, it makes sense if you're in Australia, but it doesn't make any sense if you're living in a seasonal country where you're in the middle of winter in January. It doesn't make any sense. So my take on charcoal is, when the barbecue comes out, get the barbecue out, make some nice chicken or some nice steak or some nice bacon, and you do it over the fire, and you get a nice medicinal dose of charcoal. Or at Christmas. Now at Christmas time, like November, so also then, like, because I like to look at like when seasonal fruits are available. So things like your pomegranate is available in like October, November. Your citruses are available in October, November, January. Like now is, for here, us in Britain, is now grapefruits and oranges in from Sicily. So I like to bring those things in with the peel. It's amazing what the peels from citrus oils can do. That's why I do essential oils every day. So for me, why do you need charcoal? If I'm going to do charcoal, I'd rather just have a barbecue. And in winter time, my children all do apples and pears in the fire. They throw an apple in the fire without any foil. They just throw it straight in the fire. And they're eating charcoal medicinally from specific woods that we're using in our locality, where we live. But I don't feel a need to go out and buy charcoal to ingest it into a strict regimen because I think I'm full of toxins. Because what does that do to the metabolism? What does that do to the cellular health? It puts you into a state of shock because you're not supposed to eat charcoal. Like, it's something that would be prescribed to you by a doctor. And doctors don't even exist, so that we know. Not the doctors from these times. Anyway, so I'm going to read this. Carbon or charcoal can be made either from wood or from bones. I actually threw some bones because how I like to use charcoal is I like to put it onto the garden, so then it goes into my vegetables, which then my family's going to eat. So we put it into the compost. The other day, I actually threw bones into the fire with you can look into biodynamic preparations. It's amazing. So the other day, I put bone into the fire. So when I'm putting the compost onto my no-dig garden, guess what else I'm putting onto it? Charcoal and charcoal bone. It says it here. This is amazing. So that's how I put charcoal into our food. I put it into the soil. It's a wonderful way to do it, rather than being so prescriptive that I need charcoal. Also, there's indications with the charcoal to do with the nanosynthetic biology.
It's really good to put wood ash on as well. So it wouldn't really be charcoal, it would be wood ash.
Yeah, we put wood ash into our soil, which then goes into our herbs, which then goes into our vegetables, which then we eat. It's the same thing with the zeolites. I don't take zeolites, but I do like fruits that come from volcanic soil. And therefore then you're receiving homeopathic medicine of what the zeolite has to give to you, and much more through the volcanic soil. So drinking an amazing wine grown on volcanic soil, like in Sicily, is a way better thing to do because your body likes it. My body likes to have a glass of wine, a zero sulfite, natural wine grown on volcanic soil. Do you see? You're back to that food is medicine, medicine is food. What do I know? I'm just a dad working this shit out alongside you guys. But I'm not just going to make a decision based on a meme. Nicotine destroys nanotech. Quick, sign me up to the patches. Woohoo! Like, what's in the patch? I actually almost bought some patches. But before I bought, it's like, right, you go out today and you want to go and buy 100% wool. You can go to an organic wool shop and go and buy 100%. You think you're buying 100% woolen jumper. You look at more details, you find out that that woolen jumper that they're selling you is not 100% wool. You've got to go a little bit deeper into what people are selling you. Because I want 100%, like I bought this thinking this was 100% wool. They tricked me. it wasn't 100% wool. Look at that. They've used an acrylic, like they've used an acrylic mesh to weave it onto. Look at that. They tricked me. It was a trick. I was tricked. I was tricked. They tricked me. I paid a lot of money for this. And they tricked me because they used as the mesh was man-made. I was tricked. See, so even the most expensive trickery can show up very expensively, like 250,000 for your EE system. I don't know about you, but that to me is a lot of money to burn. But people are burning it. Okay, so carbon or charcoal can be made either from wood or from bones of animals. When made from wood, it is known as wood or vegetable charcoal. Have you noticed there's no mention of activated? Whilst that procured from bones is called animal charcoal or bone black. I'll tell you another good way to put charcoal into your body is actually play with charcoal. Like, play with it. It's a great way just to get it into your skin. Wood charcoal is readily made by setting fire to a pile of wood and then covering it with turf and ashes, so that from the want of air, it smoulders away instead of bursting into flames. The woods most usual preferred for this purpose are oak, beech, hazel, and willow. The wood charcoal thus prepared may retain the shape of the piece of wood from which it was formed, or it may be reduced to a powder. Animal charcoal, or bone black, is extensively prepared from the use of sugar refiners and is made by heating bones to a red heat without excess of air. Either form may be used medicinally. Carbon is quite insoluble in water. And fortunately belongs to that class of medicines which are destitute of smell or taste. That's what I like about charcoal. Carbon is usually taken with advantage in diseases and disorders of the stomach. It will often relieve the pain arising from ulcer of the stomach, although it can be supposed that it has the power of curing that complaint. People who suffer from flatulence or wind often derive very considerable benefit from its use. Carbon proves especially beneficial in cases in which after meals the windy Winston, is formed and discharged in very large quantities. It will often succeed in arresting this disagreeable condition after almost every other remedy has been tried in vain. So charcoal is something that you would use if you've got really bad flatulence and you're exhausted, because something better to use, if you feel a need to use charcoal, would be fennel seed or fennel essential oil, from reading this, or peppermint oil, which to me is like way safer. It will often succeed in arresting this disagreeable condition after almost every other remedy has been tried in vain. So like charcoal is like a last resort. It's a last resort. Either form of charcoal may be used in doses from half a teaspoon to a tablespoonful. It is often sold in the form of charcoal biscuits, of which 2 or 3 may be taken as a dose and is sometimes made into lozenges. I've always thought of taking like charcoal. I've always thought about it. Like if my dog was poisoned, I might give charcoal to my dog if my dog was poisoned. That's how I've always thought about charcoal. It's like in a really like extreme situation, would you need charcoal? You know? For the relief of flatulence, it may be used with the greatest advantage. Isn't this amazing? We're learning together. A rising tide lifts all ships. I didn't even know charcoal was supposed to be used for flatulence. You could make it into lozenges. For the relief of flatulence, it may be troublesome. It is often given in combination with bismuth, which is like pretty hardcore. Its power of absorbing deleterious gases into its pores has received other applications. It is often made into a poultice with bread and linseed meal, and used as a dressing for foul-smelling ulcers and sores. So if you've ended up sleeping with somebody that's been double, triple, quadruple jabbed, you might need it then. I was reading Tony's post yesterday on like what would happen if you did that. It was terrible. Small, flat muslin bags filled with charcoal and placed in contact with disagreeably smelling surfaces often make the confinement of the sick chamber less unpleasant both to the patient and to those who undertake the duties of nursing. The disinfectant properties of charcoal have been turned to account in the manufacture of respirators, which it was at one time hoped would serve to destroy the organic matters which propagate dis-ease and prevent their entrance into the system. Charcoal is frequently used as a tooth powder, the areca nut charcoal being most esteemed for this purpose on account of the hardness of its particles. Carbonate of ammonium, volatile. Carbonate of magnesium, see magnesium. So there we go. That's, there's no mention of activated charcoal. So there's no mention in here of zeolites. There's no mention in here of methylene blue. There's no mention in here of fulvic minerals. There's no mention in here of humic acid. There's mention of bone broth. There's mention of, we'll just go through it, what there is a mention of. It's quite beautiful. Like, just for me, it's like, that's why I play with the antique Tesla devices. They actually factor in a lot of the things that people seem to be thinking they've got a problem with, which I don't even think they've got a problem with in the first place. I think a lot of it is up here. Ow. The monkey puzzle just stabbed me. God. Ow. Okay. Eye of Newt. Right, okay, this is where we're to now, folks. Activated charcoal. And ivermectin. And diatomaceous earth. And what else? Being alkaline. Eye of Newt and toe of frog. Wool of bat and tongue of dog. Adder's fork and blindworm's sting. Lizard's leg and owlet's wing. In the composition of our drugs, and any more than we believe that snails eaten raw are a positive cure for consumption, medicines are imported from all quarters of the globe. So let's just get into this. Okay. I just cut myself. That monkey puzzle just stabbed me. This is violent. This tree just did me. Just made me bleed. Get out the iodine, Zish. I will survive. I will survive. Oh, how is everybody anyway? Well, hey, welcome new people. This is Visionary Life Hacks and Tiger Dog. Here to connect, here to inspire, here to be the change. If you're watching live, welcome. This is Vichy Catalan water. It actually isn't. I'm just using the bottle. I'm reusing the bottle. This Vichy Catalan water is very nice. This is Vortex energized water. Watch the Vortex. Ready? Look, there's the Vortex. Just Vortex energized it. It was free energy. That's free energy. And I put Celtic Grey Minerals sea salt in there. So my protocols are really simple. As a dad, just use salts. Magnesium Epsom salt, sodium bicarbonates. All the bicarbonates are great to play with. Bicarbonates. Grey sea salt. I've been taking grey sea salt for 22 years. I'm still alive. and I feel really good with grey sea salt. Black salt, grey. I don't ingest Himalayan salt, and I never have done. See, that was one that tricked a lot of people. Himalayan salt became so trendy, and no one really thought about the Pakistanis like blowing it up with C4 explosives. People didn't think about that. So new drugs and old drugs. So looking at things like your activated charcoal, you really want to, and your nano products, they're now called novel, like genetically modified food. You might think it's good, but that is a novel food. That is in a novel, it's novel, which means it hasn't, but they tried to do it with goji berries. But a goji berry is not novel, because goji berries have been around for a long time, since traditional Chinese medicine. So the chances are, if it's in Ayurvedic medicine, if it's in the Afghan medicine system, if it's in Hippocrates, if it's in Galen, if it's in homeopathy, if it's in tissue salts, if it's old, if it's in the old, but in here's going to be new drugs of that time, which means at that time they were essentially potentially novel. I still take this with a pinch of salt, you know, because they were still trying to heal things back then. And we had Darwin around here, and you listen to like people like Madame Blavatsky, and there were little battles going on between the force matter people and your Steiner and your Goethe people. So there's always been a battle going on between your H.G. Wells and your C.S. Lewis. Those under the banner of God and those under the banner of government and eugenics. You got your eugenics people, you know, those that think you're a virus. Where did the term virus even come from? Okay, so we've got materia medica, we've got acids, we've got aconite. So aconite's a poison, but it's used, like these poisons were used. I find it fascinating, the poisons. Aconite, like there's pages on aconite. Why you would use aconite. There's an ambulance.
Yeah, it's an ambulance.
Oh, wow. Was there an ambulance earlier?
No,
So-
Look, give me take
What should I say? Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. Hi. What's up? Have you got? The upper float? Oh, right. Is everyone okay? Because is everyone okay down there? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're good. But is everything because of the police vehicle as well? Because they're actually holiday. They're like looking after it. Like you have to have a landlord for it. So you haven't come down with the alarm bells. So you just what? Oh, backing someone up. What does that mean? Oh, there's an ambulance down there. Oh, has something happened? Oh, you don't know? Oh, shit. Yeah, no, my son said that an ambulance came down, but you've been down there for hours, though.
It's probably left by now.
No, one hasn't left.
Oh no, Tish, it might have been an ambulance.
Oh, okay. Alright. Okay, alright then.
As long as there's good access down there, we're all right.
Yeah. Okay. This room. Okay.
Tish,
Yeah.
it might have been an ambulance car that came down.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we've had ambulances come down today. Don't even know. Anyway, all good. So maybe it wasn't a police car. Maybe it was an ambulance. Okay, all right. So you got your poisons. Anyway, back to this. You got your poisons. You got your alum, which is really interesting. You got your alkalis, your carbonates, your alkalis. It doesn't state that you've got to be alkaline, but sometimes you might need some alkalis. You got your aloes, which is amazing. You got your aconite, your arnica. Arnica's so important. Arsenic. See, like you got to take today with a pin. Like C60 is like a modern day. C60 is like a modern day asbestos. So if you're putting C60 into your body, you've got to be really careful. bark and quinine. Right, there's pages on this. This one's amazing. Right, okay. Cinchona bark, the bark par excellence, is the plant from which we obtain our quinine. Many stories are told of the mode in which its properties were first discovered. By some it is said that an Indian was cured of an ague by drinking at a pool in which some cinchona trees had fallen. It may be so that also it is unfortunate that these trees never by any chance grow in the borders of lakes or ponds. Another story is that the Jesuits had noticed the extreme bitterness of the bark, and being of an enterprising disposition, had with self-denial, which can be too highly commended, administered it without the slightest fear or hesitation to a brother or another in order of another order who happened to be ill. The testament proved successful, and they received the credit which they so richly deserved. It would appear the bark was first introduced into Europe about 1632. It is usually stated that we are indebted to the Countess of Chinchon for the importation and the drug, that the circumstance acquired the name of cinchona bark, or Countess's powder. As it appears to be some doubt as to which Countess of Chinchon is referred to, we take this opportunity of stating that the lady in question was the wife of Count Chinchon, Don Geronimo Fernandez de Cabrera Bardella de Mendoza. After this explanation, we proceed to the history of the drug. About 10 years later, it was carried by the Jesuits to Rome, and then by them distributed among the members of... Oh my God! This is crazy. This is crazy. The tonic quinine mixture, so that's really important. Belladonna, which is your potatoes, but it's belladonna. It's poison. So you're using your poisons. Belladonna. Bismuth. Here we go. So they mentioned bismuth with charcoal. So if you're going to take charcoal, this isn't like anti-charcoal, but it's like do a bit of research in why you need activated charcoal. I personally don't need activated charcoal. There are two salts of the metal bismuth. I'm really inspired by the word bismuth. And on that note, we'll call it a day. I think you don't need activated charcoal. And if you don't make any decisions based on memes, nicotine destroys nanotech. Quick, sign me up. I need nicotine. And you're not even considering like what nicotine, how nicotine grows, what's the best nicotine, what nicotine branch do I want, you know, what leaves do I want, who grows the best nicotine, do I want a patch, do I want a powder, do I want a snuff, do I want to chew it, what's the better soil, Nicaragua, Cuba, Dominica, which, you know, what's the one in Connecticut, which tobacco do I want, Mexico, like why do I want tobacco? Do I really want tobacco? How does it destroy nanotech? Show me how it destroys nanotech. How can a plant destroy synthetic polymers? The mind boggles. People make all their decisions based on memes today. And nobody factors in the elephant in the room. Look at that elephant in the room. Shake the room. Bada boom, bada boom.